Okay, so this afternoon I spoke to the students about Ucas, and we started the process of them applying to university or higher level apprenticeships. So Ucas is the University and Colleges admission system that everybody uses in order to apply to any university course in the country. They're like sort of a go-between between the university and the students. So they are technically just there to provide advice and support and to process the applications. Obviously, then anything other than that, anything that's direct to the university, the students has to then contact the university. So I've tried to impress upon them today the importance of really making a good go of this in terms of their research. And because of things like GDPR, this is now the first time that they're going to have to really step up to the plate in terms of what I can do for them or what you can do for them is quite limited once they get applying for university courses. Okay, so what they should have done by now, and I think what lots of them have done, is registered with Ucas. So unlike previously with year 11, there is no compulsion to carry on with education. Okay, so choices now after year 13 are obviously university, higher education, apprenticeships, and they come in various levels. So level 3 and 4 is probably just beyond what they're doing now. And then there are higher level apprenticeships where you can do your degree course as part of going to university, as part of working for an employer. Obviously, the studying abroad, a few people take gap years, or you can actually go straight into employment from year 13. It's different to year 11 when you had to stay on in education. There is no formal requirement now to stay in education. Obviously, I've said to the students today, I've tried to impress upon them the importance of, you know, talking to you about their ideas. I think lots of people try to envisage that, you know, where a degree will get you in terms of a job or a role. But I do still think there is a role in education for just studying for the sake of studying, even though obviously I do realise we have the financial implications at the moment. But we've been through this, and the students have done the last couple of weeks about the benefits of higher education versus apprenticeships versus going into employment. So most of our students will apply for one of the bottom three options there. So a foundation degree is available for people who maybe haven't studied at one of the A-level requirements. So we get quite a lot of engineering students going on a foundation degree because they haven't studied maths, or their maths isn't their strongest point out of their 3 A-levels. The vast majority will apply for obviously a bachelor's degree, an undergraduate degree, or you have degree apprenticeships, which is where you will go 1 day a week to university and the other 4 days with the employer. The HNCs and HNDs, again, tend to be somewhere where you've maybe not got the grades at the end of year 13 and have decided to take a course where you then have, if you do very well in the first year, they can normally allow progression onto the university course. But obviously, because we're at the end of year 12 and everything is still okay in terms of grades, we would look for everybody to apply who was interested to either a degree or a degree apprenticeship. And obviously, all universities are different, and lots of universities offer a completely different range of courses. So you could be sitting next to someone on graduation day who's going to leave with the same English degree as you, but they will have studied completely different books or genres or authors or whatever it might be. So I've tried to impress upon the students the importance this year of doing the research, because, you know, if you do A-level psychology is the same throughout the country, whereas in the university, they are allowed to set their own syllabus, their own examination, their own assessment methods, and the student rather has got to log on and have a look. And I've also tried to impress upon them the importance of attending open days. So every university at this time of year will have an open day. I have tried to include you in it. I have told them to, you know, to speak to you and to get you to go along with them, especially those who are moving away. You know, if you're going to go and live somewhere for 3 or 4 years, then you would need to go and have a look at the accommodation. And so, you know, it is important that they put the research in now before, while we've got a little bit of, you know, time and capacity in the timetable. So in terms of universities, this is the presentation I gave them today. So in terms of style, there are universities that are really traditional academic ones. This is called the Russell Group. You may have read about this, or you may hear this from time to time. They are the top 20 universities in the country in terms of academic research. So locally, Liverpool University is in the Russell Group, as I think is Manchester University. And they will offer courses that are quite academic research based. If you wanted something that was more vocational, where you got the chance to do possibly some work experience, or you wanted to do something that had a more of a vocational slant on it, then you would look to one of the other universities, for example, John Moores or Liverpool Hope, again locally, but obviously lots dotted around the country. You know, I'm not a great believer in university snobbery. I think if you end up with a degree, then, you know, by and large, it's the degree and what you've studied and the fact that you've got a first or a 2-1 degree, rather than in particular where it's from. Obviously, location could be important in terms of where they live and where they want to go for the next 3 years. Do they want to go to a city the same size as Liverpool, you know, Sheffield, Manchester, Leeds, locally, you know, down to London, or do they want to stay, you know, or do they want to go into a smaller town? Is it important that they pick a university that is quite countryside or coastal, depending on the course that they're going to do? So going down to obviously culture and facilities, again, go on an open day, ask. Lots of universities, for example, Loughborough, Edge Hill, have outstanding sports facilities. Some are well known for the clubs and societies that they have. So that's an important thing, you know, to look at. What graduates do, there is a wealth of statistics out there. Unistats is one of the websites that they can use. I told them to treat these statistics with a pinch of salt, you know, so they will publish things like what percentage of their graduates are still in the industry, or you know, so say you do a politics degree, what percentage of people go into a politics related job? But of course that varies in terms of, is it part-time, is it full-time, is it 0 hours? They also publish statistics on how much people earn once they leave with that degree, but again, you know, that's normally an average. So some people will be earning a large amount of money and other people not so. So there is a wealth of statistics out there about what happens to people when they graduate. And again, it's a useful tool, but I wouldn't be particularly, putting everything into whatever the statistics say. Tuition fees, they can vary, but we're still looking mainly at £9,250. Every university has to offer scholarships or bursaries. Some universities are very good at this. So locally, Edge Hill and John Moores will normally make these available to everybody. So they'll send a form out to everybody, and you can get them. We've got one student at the moment who's on a bursary because of the voluntary work that she did. But we've got other students who are particularly sporty or musical. They get bursaries. You might get a bursary if you've got really good top grades, or you come from a particular postcode where there's less progression on to university. So again, it's really worth checking this. Some of them hide them in the websites, some of them are quite upfront about them. Living costs, of course, you know, if your son or daughter is thinking of moving away, then it's worth going to an open day and finding out about accommodation, you know, the cost of living, etc. Accommodation is relatively expensive, but again, you only have to look around Liverpool to see the standard is, you know, so much better than it used to be. And there's ones with 24-hour security, gyms on site, and, you know, en suite and things like that. So it is normally a question of getting what you paid for. Like I said before, every course could be different. So within things like English and geography and history and business, there are hundreds of combinations. Although, you know, overall you leave with a degree in English, you might have studied different authors. Within business, you may have done business and marketing, business and HR. Within geography, there's the whole human and physical geography. So they do have to get on and do some research and find out exactly what it is. Lots of universities are beginning to put their study abroad opportunities back in place again after lockdown. That might be something they're interested in a third year abroad. So again, locally, Liverpool have great links with China and other countries where you can go and study for, you know, one of the years that you're there. Some courses are sandwich courses, so you'd spend the third year on a placement somewhere, usually well paid, and usually, obviously, really, just letting a few more people in, really useful for progression. Okay. So the Ucas Hub is, I'm going to quickly go through this because this is something that the students should already have looked at. So this is the information where they can type in lots of different things that they're interested in, and they can get, you know, it can really narrow down the options. And there's a careers guide on there where you can answer a few questions, and it might suggest degree courses if you're really unsure of what you're going to be doing. There's all the information about open days, there's videos on there, and this is something that they should have registered for a couple of weeks ago. And they could have been using. So just a quick note about apprenticeships. Obviously, we're going to gear up to Ucas for degrees, and they are set dates, which I'll talk about later. Apprenticeships, the issue we have with them is that universities put them on, employers put them online as and when they're ready to. So things like the Home Office normally come on board in February, but then some of the big accountancy firms could be as early as October, November. So if your son or daughter is really interested in a higher level apprenticeship, they need to be checking every week to see what's come up. There is a government website, apprenticeships.gov.uk, where you can set up a little notification system whereby they type in the type of degree they're after, how far they're prepared to travel from home, and it pings them to them as and when those things come up. So the apprenticeship is a bit more difficult in terms of us being able to say, yes, this apprenticeship is here, because they come online at various times throughout the year. Okay, so again, just back on the hub, you can look at personal statements, accommodation. There's a whole wealth of information. Okay, so in terms of apprenticeships, obviously, lots of different ways of doing them, lots of different routes to go down. So you would be looking for us for a higher level apprenticeship if you're going to do your degree that way. And then this is just general information about apprenticeships. Ucas have just started to put apprenticeships on their website now, which is good, because at one stage they were only looking at university courses. Okay, so in terms of Ucas, so in terms of what we would look for, probably the majority of our students to go on to in terms of degree courses. So in terms of the application, they use Ucas. It's all electronic. It's all done through school, so they register with school. When they finish they pay, or maybe you pay, using, you know, their own bank account, and then that comes through to us. We upload the references and everything else, and then we send it off on their behalf. But I only send it off when they've signed for it. So I will show them the complete application, including references and predicted grades, and then that will go off when the student is happy with what we've put. Okay, so dates, the important ones to look at there for us is right in the middle, 16th of October. So anybody thinking of applying to medicine, veterinary science, dentistry, Oxford or Cambridge, their deadline is the 16th of October. Everybody else's deadline is called the equal consideration deadline because you can apply after that. However, universities can then start to say that they are full. And so that 31st of January is the deadline for equal consideration. But what I do say every year is really, if we have a couple of weeks of mocks, then you need to get it in before Christmas. So really, although it says the 31st of January, then they really need to have it in before Christmas. The important one there with the Oxford and Cambridge people in is to make sure that they are ready when we come back. So September, first 2 weeks in September, we need to get that sent off. Okay, so equal consideration date I've spoken about. So they can make up to 5 choices, okay? 4 choices for the early applicants, and then what most people who study medicine do is they do a biomedical science degree as a fallback. You can't apply to Oxford and Cambridge, it's one or the other, and they offer what's called a college system. So although you apply to Oxford, you apply to a college within Oxford. And we have an excellent teacher who has his own enrichment group that has the Oxford and Cambridge people in, so he will give them some really specific information and some really good help and guidance. It's a £27.50 fee, and that gets paid at the end before it comes off to school. So up to 5 choices. Students always ask, can they apply to the same university for 2 courses? They can do, but the danger there is, you know, if you're applying to 2 courses in the same faculty, you may end up with the thing being read by the same person. So, you know, you can do it, but you know, it doesn't always work out okay. And they have to pick, like, be a really specific. There is, you cannot put an application in for, say, biology and English, because you only get to write 1 personal statement. So it's really important that they make a decision about the degree and stick to it. Things like nursing now, you have to choose a branch of nursing, so child nursing, adult nursing, mental health nursing, and you apply to 4 of them. You can't apply to child nursing and mental health nursing at Edge Hill, say, for example, because I don't think you'll get very far, because they know that you're trying to just, you know, get onto nursing at Edge Hill. Okay, so they apply through school. They've been given the buzzword today. It's Maricourt 24 with a capital M, and that allows us to track their application and work with them throughout next year, so that we can help them with that, and that we can upload the references and their predicted grades. Okay, so the application just consists of lots of different sections that you can see there on the screen. And so personal details is just that, name, address, etc. They can nominate what's called an access person, so that will either be one of the parents, or a brother or older brother or sister, and that's just a GDPR thing. So if a university was to ring up to want to speak to them about their application, then they can speak to the nominated person, like you get with your insurance or your bank or whatever it might be. Some of it is just statistical. So on there, diversity and inclusion, is just statistical. So that is all about sort of ethnic origin and maybe some of their disabilities, or they do ask some questions about religion and lifestyle and stuff like that. It's all just statistical. It won't affect the course at all. So if you do declare an SEN, if you do declare a disability, the university don't find out about that until you've been offered a place, and then they can then start to put things in place. There is a question on there as well about the job role of parents. Again, they can answer that if they want, but it's really just statistical, so the government can look at who it is that's applying to university. The education part, so they will upload all of their GCSE results regardless of grade. So any 1s and 2s and 3s that are lurking in the cupboard that they would rather forget about, they have to be declared, I'm afraid. Again, you know, GCSE grades, they're just looking at the profile. I think some of the medical schools want 7/7s or 6/7s, but that will be on the Ucas information. Employment is just part-time paid work or unpaid work, so that doesn't really come into anything. And then extra activities is anything that they've done where they've gone away to stay at a university. After that, the personal statements and the reference are the two main things that the universities will look at. The personal statement is a 4,000 character letter of application in effect. So it's about them selling themselves, and this is where really you could come in handy as well as me, because for the first time they are, you know, trying to sell themselves in an adult world. And so, you know, when we apply for jobs, you know, there's a certain language that we use, and we look at our skill sets, and we try to match, you know, our skill set to the job description and the personal specification. And this is what they're doing here, really. So universities will publish for each course a list of the type of person that they are looking for, and they are to use that as almost like the job description. The first paragraph has to be their reason why they want to study the course, and I've tried to impress upon them the importance of this first paragraph. It's going to be read by someone who absolutely loves their subject, whatever it is, English, psychology, business, geography, maths, medicine, whatever it is, and they have to get that across. You know, there is no point in them being, you know, hiding any lights under a bushel or trying to downplay their interest in the course. They have to really sell their love of the course in that open paragraph. I've warned them against, you know, please don't Google it. You know, if you can Google, you know, personal statement to get me into English at Edinburgh, and you'll get one, but obviously so will hundreds of other people, and they will put it through some plagiarism software. And if it's found to be like something on the internet, then obviously that's not going to go down very well. We will do lots of work with them on this. We will. The form tutors are a very good team, and they will hand in a personal statement to the tutor. And the earlier they do this, the better. The tutor will give them, you know, redraft after redraft after redraft. What I've tried to say to them today is that it's important to have a go and then hand it in, no matter how long or short it is. It is far easier for us as staff to read what they've written and advise on how to improve than for them to keep coming to us saying, I just don't know what to do. So the start off paragraph is really, why do you want to study that subject? What are the topics? What are the people? What are the books you've read? You know, podcasts that you've listened to? Have you been to lectures or art galleries or museums? What is it that sparked that interest in the subject? And they have to be realistic. So, you know, there is no point in saying, I have always loved physics, because, you know, nobody has always loved physics. You know, the point is they have developed a love of the subject from studying it at GCSE, studying it at A level, watching programs, listening to podcasts, reading books, whatever it might be. And so they have to get this love of the subject across, but without sort of being unrealistic or, you know, stretching the truth about books that they have read or courses that they have looked at. Once the university has the personal statement, this is the kind of questions that they look at. So what evidence is that they are independent learners? What evidence is that they are motivated and committed? They can bring in different skills from outside of school. So, you know, the example I use is that, you know, if you're the one who collects the money and organises the five-a-side football, you might not think that's a good skill for university, but it shows reliability, it shows commitment. If you've done the Duke of Edinburgh or some volunteering work, then again, you've shown some teamwork skills, you've shown some softer skills that universities are interested in, as well as displaying skills like, where have you done your research skills? Where have you done some presentation skills? So basically, we're looking to 4 paragraphs. A paragraph about why they're interested in the course. Second paragraph is their academic skills. So where have they shown, you know, research? Where have they shown teamwork? Where have they shown independent learning? A third paragraph about some of the other type of skills, so reliability, commitment, and again, this is the voluntary work and the part-time job. And then maybe a paragraph about future career ambitions that they might be interested in. So there is a lot of help on the Ucas hub. Like I say, there is, you know, lots of help within school. So if you can, that's not a great screenshot there. But why are you applying for the course? Why does the subject interest you? Why do you think you're suitable for the course or your skills? Does the course that you're doing now have anything in there that you can lean on and that you can build upon? So there is a lot of help out there besides just, you know, trying to lift it off the internet. Once they're all in, then the university will make a decision and they will tend to use the personal statement, qualifications that you've already got, and the predicted grades that are on the reference. Increasingly now, because we've done away with AS levels, if you've got older children, you may remember AS levels. They've done away with them. Some universities are beginning to dig into GCSEs a little bit, but mostly they will either ask you to sit an admissions test or ask you to send off a piece of work. So especially for sort of the arts type subjects, or Oxford and Cambridge and medicine will certainly interview, as will teaching and nursing and these, you know, these sort of vocational type degrees that lead on to a career. Some of them might ask you to send them an essay or to fill in a supplementary information questionnaire. But again, if that happens, we will help them with that and we will guide them through that. Once they've done that, they can track the application. So we've just now, with our year 13s, they have just made all their firm and insurance offers. So everybody will receive either an unconditional offer, which means provided you pass your A levels, you know, you will get in. A conditional offer, which will be grades or points based. So you need 3 A's or 112 points. So as a guide, it's 56 points for an A star. And then it goes down in 8s, so 48 for an A, 40 for a B, and so on. Applied or BTEC courses are distinction star is an A star, a distinction is an A, a merit is a C, and a pass is an E. Or you may get obviously unsuccessful, which means that you then, if you get 5 unsuccessfuls, you can keep applying through what's called clearing or Ucas extra. They take a firm and an insurance choice through. So that's this time next year. Like I say, we've just done it with our year 13s, and I will speak to them about that, obviously, when we get past Christmas. Extra and clearing are available for those who maybe have had a complete change of mind or have been unfortunate and got, 5 rejections where they've got no offers. So what can they be doing in the meantime? Lots of research. Sometimes we have students who are so desperate to stay local that they choose a degree that they might not be interested in. So trying to impress upon them again, going out and having a look at these places. Some universities are campus universities, so Edge Hill, UCLan, Kiel, these type of places where you live and socialise and do everything on site. That might appeal to some people. Going to maybe Sheffield or Manchester, where it's a bit like Liverpool, where you might live in the outskirts and get the bus into your lectures or whatever. They don't know this until they go out and have a look. And so I would really encourage them to research. And I have asked them, I have mentioned to them that they should really be speaking to you about this, and telling you what their plans are. I have tried. My daughters are a very similar age to the children now, and I have tried to explain, or the students now, and I've tried to explain to them the importance of having these conversations with you about, their plans and what it is they're thinking about. And obviously, we're always here. If you want to have a phone call or you want to come in and chat with us, that's fine. Open days, they're all this term. The only thing I would say about open days, especially if you're going to move away, is maybe to go back in October, November, when it's a bit darker and it's not so nice, because obviously it's nice weather and you go to an open day, everything's outside and all the grounds look lovely because it's all June and July and August, and with no disrespect to Hull, but Hull in June is a different to Hull in December, as a just a random example. But go back in October, November, when maybe it's not as bright. Sometimes they say that they're going to commute to places like Manchester, but have you ever tried to get there on a Monday morning, by train or whatever? So sometimes they do need a bit of adult intervention in terms of the reality of some of their plans. And again, taking a drive to somewhere and having a look around it when it's a bit quieter, when it's not an open day, it works wonders, because you can see it when it's not particularly on show. Extracurricular activities, these are so important. This summer is so important for them to get the work experience, to maybe do some volunteer work, to polish that personal statement. I've spoken to them today about the extended project qualification, which is a fantastic opportunity for them to do a mini dissertation on any subject that they like, literally anything. I supervise it in school, but I also moderate for the board, and I've read countless extended projects about all manner of fascinating subjects. So anything that they're interested in, they can do an extended project on, and it looks so good on a personal statement. Lots of people get a bit wound up about the right type of work experience. Sometimes, what the likes of the nursing admissions tutors say to us is, you might want to go into the child nursing, but then doing a week's work experience in a nursery, or even in an old folks home where where you're just dealing with people, is really important. So the work experience doesn't necessarily have to be in the actual profession that they are looking for. It's about those skills, isn't it? It's about learning about how the world of work actually operates. In terms of research, look at, if you're going into a higher level apprenticeship, have a look at the company. If you're going into nursing, think about how the NHS works. If you're going into engineering, look at the big projects that are on at the moment. It's not just researching the university that's important, it's researching the career or the idea that you might go into. What independent learning are they doing outside the curriculum? Are they listening to podcasts? Are they reading magazines? Are they watching TED Talks? Are they looking at Netflix documentaries? And focus on this year's studies. So, we've got mocks coming up. When they get the mock results back, what are they doing about that? And what are they doing to get their predicted grade as high as it can be? if they've done particularly well in their studies this year, then that could go into the personal statement. What have they really enjoyed? What have they excelled at? Okay, in terms of yourselves, you can go on to Ucas as a wealth of information. There is a parents newsletter you can sign up for. There are parent guides on the Ucas system, and they are all over Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They have all access to all that you can register for and just keep up to date with what's going on. Obviously, we're always available at school, email, phone calls, come in and speak to us. If you're having any sort of issues, as the old saying goes, there's no such thing as a daft question. I've answered them all in the 20 odd years I've been doing this. So please don't think that you're the first person to ask this question. There's all the information. I mean, that's all online that you can get to, but there's all the Facebook and everything else type of stuff.